We have come to the lunch break on the third day of questioning of Mike Dell, the former Detective Chief Inspector of the Special Demonstration Squad from July 2001 to May 2005. It's the end. We finished the pre-prepared questions of Sarah Hemingway, the counsel to the inquiry, who's been running the sessions for the last 3 days. There will be further questions after lunch, which will come from the rest of the people who are at the inquiry. I would say that Mike Dell has been displaying a psychopathic certainty about his understanding of the need for everybody to be reported on. He claims that MPs are not above the law. No one is above the law.
No one's above the law.
Except them.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want.
Absolutely.
He said that they wanted to build a colossal database.
Yes.
So no one was above suspicion. No one was above inclusion on this database. And as someone who's campaigned against police databases and the way that they work for, the best part of 20 years, for me, that was quite an astonishing admission that was the purpose, was this colossal database. Didn't matter what the connection was. Didn't matter if people were just engaged in peaceful, lawful protest or not. All that information had to go on this database.
Yeah, there was a point where he was on about the reporting on Atif Chowdhury, and he said the STS don't just report the bad stuff; we report the good, of which there wasn't any in this case. But it literally is. Even if you weren't involved in anything, your personal details would still be recorded on the database. It's the panopticon. This really kind of goes to the heart of what's wrong with this whole thing. And he's been quite robust in his defense. It's like, yes, this is all required. This is all legitimate. This is all perfectly as it should be, above board and correct. He keeps saying things like, well, this information wouldn't go anywhere. It would just be kept within the branch.
It's utterly ludicrous. And we know all the places that it's gone anyway. But it's just this utterly ludicrous suggestion, and that he seems so sure about that the state building databases of people who are protesting the state through whatever means is somehow legitimate, not reminiscent of the Stasi at all, and that if we supposedly, and I know we all know this is a fallacy, this supposed liberal democracy that we live in, but if you're supposed to live in a nice liberal democracy, what the hell are they doing creating these databases of so many people who they don't even suspect of any criminality whatsoever, and that somehow it is okay to record a positive. But then, as he said in relation to my 1-week-old baby yesterday, that the fact that there was research done on him meant that there could be a special branch trace and a police file trace, and that therefore that could have had implications on his life. So he's already made that admission that that data can have an implication, but then it's okay somehow.
Yeah. We were taken through a lot of different subjects. We were taken through the True Spies documentary. He was Detective Chief Inspector of the unit while that was aired. He wrote an impact document, an impact assessment rather, after the show aired, which went through all the previous undercover officers, all the current ones, and the threat that existed to them.
And all the ones he claimed he'd never heard of.
Yeah,
the inquiry,
absolutely. Yeah, he's maintained repeatedly that John Dines means nothing to him. There he is in 2002 writing reports about him.
And Shitty as well.
Yeah.
He said he had to Google
to
the inquiry. And then he went back to saying, but HM53, he put together all this information. So what, you just signed it off, replicated it? Again, he is making no sense whatsoever, and is he has no credibility in terms of what he is saying. I don't recall. Show me the documentation. HM53 just dealt with this. You're supposed to be his manager.
Yeah, there was one point where we were shown a file note that showed that the knowledge of a sexual relationship with John Dines and Helen Steele was known to HN53, and that he had it was him in conversation with Jeanette Williams, the commander of Special Branch, about it, where she said it wouldn't have been disapproved of back then, but it is disapproved of now. So that's the person who's directly under him, the person who's directly above him. They both know. They're both talking about it. He's there going, if you've got a document showing that I know, show it to me. Otherwise, I can't help you.
Oh no, his other one was, because he still like doesn't want to get HM53 into trouble as well. Like, oh well, maybe he just presumed that I knew.
Yes, yeah.
But it's like remarkable, like with the True Spine stuff, with the Operation Muscat stuff, and Helen Steele going over to New Zealand and all the resources that they put into that, and he just kind of went, oh, I left that to HM53. I mean, like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like this massive operation, and all throughout this inquiry, through his evidence, through everyone else's evidence, we've heard about the worry and the protection of the SDS at all costs. That was their primary goal. He said that as well in relation to other things. And then suddenly, these two things that have a massive threat to the security of the SDS. Oh, I knew nothing about it. I just let my inspector get on with it. Like, come off it.
Especially when you consider the enormous cost of relocating John Dines from New Zealand to Australia, and the fact that he was complaining about his own lack of resources. I mean, the idea that he had no oversight of this element. I mean, it doesn't bear. No, it's nonsense. Yeah, farcical, ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. There've been a couple of other, it's been quite a few other things actually. I mean, there's so much that's been covered in the last hour and a half or whatever it's been. There was a lot of things that have been going back to. We saw a lot of the authorization documents of Carlo Sirachi, Robert Hastings, of the different the understanding of what they were reporting on. He was asked about blacklisting, where he made some very strange statements. He said that there will be no information passed on to private companies, all apart from for crime prevention. And then he was asked about a particular one, the HN3 Jason Bishop report that he'd given about information that being passed on to about certain arms companies, and it was like, would information be passed on to them? Yes. Oh, I see you've mentioned BAE Systems there. I remember when BAE Systems, we had to give them some information about when one of their planes got smashed up or something. Anyway, they offered us a lot of money to do more of that kind of work, but of course we had to turn it down.
I mean, that was quite a revelation. So he was talking about the Hawks action that 4 women disarmed and did £1.4 million worth of damage to, and were acquitted for preventing a greater crime. They were being due to be used in East Timor, and a jury acquitted them. And that was very, very interesting as well, because I was close to Martin Hogbin, who was the corporate spy at Campaign Against Arms Trade, and the timing of that with the Hawks action and this alleged refusal to accept this money from BAE Systems then also ties into the timing of BAE Systems then going, oh, we'll put our own corporate spy into CAT because special branches turned us down. Like the timing of that, I mean, I don't know that for sure, but the timing of that then all fits. He denied that personal information would have been passed on to BAE Systems, which I do not believe for 1 second.
No.
And I was like, and the way that he was asked, he could sort of dismiss it sort of slightly, but in terms of crime prevention, if they're saying, oh, your offices are due to be targeted, they're not going to tell them who they think is going to be targeting their offices.
Yeah. I mean, it's this idea that oh no, it would all be completely sanitized, and then, I mean, he even said at the end, he went, but I can't be sure.
No. And also, even the fact that they had that direct contact with BAE Systems, they had that relationship where BAE could offer them money, and that be appropriate, and that be a sort of conduit that the UK's largest arms fair had with special arms company had with special branch is telling in itself. And this morning we were talking about, he was asked about causing embarrassment to the UK state, and he had this strange answer around, oh, what if a bomb goes off and about it, it's going to cause embarrassment. But in the documentation and the authorizations, they cite the Dicey Arms Fair as being, of why we were targeted because of the embarrassment that it could cause to the UK state. Like that is explicit in the authorization documents about why we were targeted. And we're seeing it time and again, and we're seeing it so much at the moment with the prescription of Palestine Action, that the power of the arms companies over the state is massive, and the state will do whatever they can to protect the interests of the arms companies. And it is utterly obscene, but it shows completely how our state works, where the power is, and where the influence is.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that nothing illustrates the moral bankruptcy of the state more than this. I don't think.
Yeah, definitely.
It's obscene. He was also questioned about spying on MPs. He was very, very bullish about this. It was absolutely, they're not above the law. We were shown a report of electoral plans by George Galloway. He said, well, George Galloway was photographed with members of Hamas. Only the other day I saw it in the Times. So therefore, obviously, that was all fine. He was like, there was a lot of stuff about like electoral plans of the Socialist Party. He was, oh yes, that would have definitely been, that's all legitimate. That he started listing loads of dead MPs from the 1940s and 50s, going like, I would have, if I'd been alive at the time, I'd wanted to see reports on these people. Mosley and others, I forget. Through Martin McGuinness and all sorts of people. He was very sure. The overwhelming impression he gave is that he understood, we didn't understand. They had a perfect right to find out anything about any of us. It's important for the state to know these things, and who are we to question it?
And it's really interesting. I mean, we're not going to be asked what his notion of the state is,
right?
But I think it's a fundamental question, because if you have any kind of radical politics, whichever side of the political spectrum that you are on, and you want to get involved in the fallacy of democratic process that we have, and we saw it with Corbyn, you're still going to be undermined. The established state will do everything it can to undermine any radical voices being anywhere near mainstream politics. And that's not democracy. I mean, it's so clear in everything that the democracy that we have now, that we've always had, is a farce.
Yes, completely, absolutely, and and it goes to. I mean, this is just like a real what we see with the SDS and the MPOU and all the spy cops is just one small part of this. Subverting of democracy. The use of democracy is just a window dressing.
Yeah, it's an excuse. It's something that they can say and will be picked up on as, oh, well, these protesters are profoundly undemocratic. They take part in direct action. They won't engage with the democratic process. Then when people engage with the democratic process, this is what happens. And it's a fairy tale, and a dangerous fairy tale, because it's used to undermine people. It's used as a tool of repression when it's a joke. And it's not just the SDS. He said, it goes across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was just chatting to one of the lawyers in the hallway there, and he was saying, I'm feeling quite chilled by what's really been laid bare, by the evidence we've heard this morning, that, just how far the state is willing to go, how sure they are, and how little they care about these concepts of democracy and so on.
Oh, no, they don't care at all.
No.
And I think that is so good in some ways. It's appalling that it happens, but the stuff that's things that you and me say and have said for years, and people will sometimes roll their eyes at us and go, oh no, you're exaggerating. We're really not.
We're really, really not. And when we started this process, we were like, oh, maybe we'll get a glimpse, but I mean, it is really bare right now.
Oh yeah, there is no pretense. And as you said, it's the certainty that they have with it. He made such strange comments about Fire Brigades Union. That was really, really telling as well. He was sort of like, well, with other unions, you'd have to spend years before you become a shop steward. But the FBU, you could join if you were doing entryism. You could be a shop steward within 15 weeks, because there's obviously so many firefighters out there who've kind of gone, oh no, I don't want to save lives being a firefighter. I'm going to do this as entryism and become a shop steward.
Yeah, because it's so easy to become a fireman. There's not massive physical exams or anything at all. I mean, for God's sake, Mike Dell.
And this notion that people acting as shop stewards and going into union roles, they're doing it to protect workers, and that there is some nefarious kind of plot
Yeah.
somewhere
I
that
mean,
doesn't exist.
At one point, he was asked, he said, no, these trade union activists are not being spied on for their involvement in trade unions. They're being spied on for their political activism. And if they take that role into the trade union, they would be using industrial disputes to further their politics. So that's why they're being spied on. And it's like, hang on, that's exactly the same thing. They're being spied on for being trade union activists, but ones that you don't like.
Yeah.
That's it. He was like, they'll be pushing for workers' control. But what's wrong with that? Yeah. Why is that? Is that a form of criminality? I mean, in the eyes of Mike Dell, it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And so much is like just like anything that threatens the establishment in some way is legitimate target. That's fine.
Yeah. I think you can almost see him as like kind of, the editor of a tabloid newspaper, and it's like all the people they would be negative about, all those are legitimate targets. That's basically it. You put the guy from the Sun in charge, and you go like, right, well, we'll crack down on everybody you don't like, and that's the plan. That's the whole plan. Yeah. I mean, it really is as bad as that. We've had some comments from Mr. Abney. I think especially clear that he's lying through his teeth about John Dines. Yeah, he hadn't read the documents as closely as he thinks he has. Absolutely. I'm also aware that there are further documents which didn't get put to him. We're hoping that after the break, there are more documents we put to him. It's very clear that he knew about John Dines. He knew about the relationship with Helen Steele. The idea that he didn't is just farcical, really. It's not plausible in any sense. Another one. Repeated implausible denials today. Absolutely, completely implausible.
I mean, he's just become excruciating.
Yeah.
He is excruciating to listen to. It's just denial after denial. Show me the documents. Or can you put a time context on this? Like that makes a difference to his memory.
Yeah.
You remembered. Just say it.
Yeah, and also it's like that. We're not here to hear you read from the document. We're here for your memory to be tested. I mean, it's a bit of a nonsense, really. Another one, to be fair, I agree that MPs shouldn't be protected any more or less than the rest of us from surveillance. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the point is that there is a suggestion that, like we've been told by numerous witnesses at this inquiry, that MPs are off limits. There was something different. Although that's the legitimate political process. It's the para-parliamentary process that we're concerned with, and where the reality is there's plenty of spying on not just MPs but the electoral process itself that they're engaging in. Another one, I agree with both. Free democracy, we live in an oligarchy with occasional elections. Absolutely. And those occasional elections often have very little to do with the actual power in the society. Another one, that was the MI5 line. What was legitimate in terms of targeting trade unions? He's probably been reading some of the earlier disclosure. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the things that we've heard from Mike Dell has been lifted directly from other things, and you see it when he repeats himself, because he repeats himself word for word. It's like he's practiced lines, but we saw that like on Monday morning when he came in, he had a whole bunch of practice lines, and as that's been stripped away, as he's run out of them.
Yeah, I think he was just hoping he'd come in on Monday and say those few lines, and the inquiry would just accept it. And he'd be all right.
Yeah, and I mean, it shows that a lot of the witnesses who've been here for a much shorter period of time. It took a while to break him down a bit. So with those who've been a shorter period of time, we are not getting a full picture of them.
Oh no, and like with the cover sergeants having half day each, we said all along. I remember saying on the stream back in March, it isn't enough time, and it wasn't enough time, and all these things that aren't being put to them. And just it's just so. I mean, the other one, like we touched on the blacklisting side of things. He denied that there was any passing on information to the Consulting Association, which we also know is bollocks, and must have been aware of. And his line that it went to C Squad, and again, been saying this repeatedly, C Squad should be part of this inquiry
100%.
as well, and what they were doing with this information. If it wasn't the SDS passing on, which I also don't believe, or if it was a combination, but either way, they have so much control. They've had control of targeting, they have control of dissemination of the information. So many things that are in the inquiry's terms of reference of what they're supposed to be looking at come down to C Squad, and we don't have any statements from the key officers in this tranche.
It's a huge oversight. And I think that context, I mean, I really hope that when we get to the MPORU, there is a much wider understanding of who matters in terms of that story. And it's not just that specific unit, it's everything around them and everything else that was feeding in and they were feeding into. One more comment again from Jack Shepherd. Yeah, it sounded more impressive on Monday morning, declined since then. Yeah, very much.
Yeah, on Monday morning we thought we were going to get some answers out of them, but we are still getting these off bits of information that we haven't got from other officers because he's just so arrogant and because he's kind of filling spaces in a way that he's somebody like with the BAE admission. You know, that was just out of nowhere.
Yeah, he didn't need to do that. It was
I mean, carry on with that.
Yeah, please. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's also set up a lot of the future witnesses, you know, like telling us that they're going to tell us everything.
Oh, yeah, HM53 is going to be interesting.
Yeah, and Stephen Beale's tomorrow. I mean, I'm looking forward to that a lot more than I was now that I know that he's, you know, he's such an impressive officer who's going to give, you know, all the details. So,
yeah, I don't go home tomorrow now.
Good. Okay, there's more to come. Yeah, still yet from Mike Dell. He'll be asked further questions after lunch, along with any kind of things that need to be picked back up by Sarah Hemingway. Is there anything particular you think he really should be grilled on?
I want to know, I mean, specifically in relation to my staff, there's the authorization for him to commit criminal damage at the Dicey
Bishop
organized, Bishop to commit criminal damage at the Dicey organisers' offices that was not really addressed properly. But there's so much stuff. You know, I think across all the areas there is just, I wouldn't know where to start. There's so much stuff. And stuff that hasn't quite been followed up on, or the right documents haven't been shown. I mean, even this morning when Sarah Hemingway went back to HN3, Jason Bishop's authorizations, and she said it was HN18, and you know, that's fine, it's got the right names on it, we can all just go, oh, that's right. But there's been a few things like that when it hasn't been the right documents. Oh, we've got the there was something to do with corporations, wasn't there, with HN60 that she said she was going to come back to?
Yes, we haven't come back to that. Yes, very true. Yeah. There's a lot of little things. It feels like when something gets like put to one side, we're not getting back to it. In the full time. Hopefully it will. There'll be no time limitations. In the past, some of the Rule 10s have been rushed because you know, it was the end of the day, but we'll have plenty of time. There's no reason to rush that this afternoon.
No, and there's also more questions that I think needs to be asked around the Fairford coaches. Come back, because again, that section of the questioning was really fluffed. Come back to it, and also missed the main point that that the coach was stopped was the third coach. Third coach was stopped because of what happened on the previous two coaches. HN3 was around for all that organising process, was close to us, and there is absolutely no way that C Squad was not asking. The public order unit were all over Fairford. They were working with local police on the on an intelligence-led plan, and there is absolutely no way those requests can be filtered through.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty to look forward to. We'll do another. I'm guessing there won't be a break. I'm guessing we'll have just all the Rule 10s. Then it'll be the end of the day. Oh, there's one more comment there. From Mr. Abney. Another obvious lie was that Mike Dell would be interested in reading about democratic workers' councils. Yeah, he said he'd be very interested to read about that. I think what he was saying was he'd be very interested to read any like intelligence reports about people pushing for them so that those people could be spied on. I mean, that's what the impression I got. But yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll see you again this afternoon. We'll do a panel discussion. Hopefully, I'll get like a few other people at the end of the day to kind of cover everything to finish off what we've heard from Mike Dell. Please like.